O'Reilly. You need parts? O'Reilly Auto Parts has parts. Need them fast? We've got fast. No matter what you need, we have thousands of professional parts people doing their part to make sure you have it. Product availability. Just one part that makes O'Reilly stand apart. The professional parts people.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
You ever get that feeling the walls closing in, the concrete jungle suffocating you? You crave some wide open spaces, the chance to connect with nature, maybe in a spot all your own. Well, head over to land.com. They've got ranches, forests, mountains, streams, you name it. Search by acreage. You can search by location. You can search by the kind of hunting and fishing you're dreaming of. Land.com. It is where the adventure begins. There's nothing like snook hook sets at dawn or catching a tarpon in the moonlight. Find your next fishing trip made easy on fishingbooker.com and experience the magic of the Sunshine State or any other destination on your fishing bucket list. Book a blue water adventure in search of sailfish or go snapper fishing with the kids. With over 6,000 captains and trips to choose from, planning your next one just got a whole lot easier. Download the Fishing Booker app on the Google Play or App Store, or visit them online at fishingbooker.com to book your trip today.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Hunting Collective, a very special episode. Today, we're going to say goodbye to turkey season. It's over now for most of us in the office, most of us around the country. We had a great one. We had a lot of great discussions on this podcast, a lot of great content on themeateater.com, but we're going to say goodbye to turkey season, and the only way I could think to do it, and that's by talking to Janis, the Latvian Eagle Patelis, probably the best turkey hunter on our crew, although Ranella might argue. But we have Yanni. We're saying goodbye to turkey season. We're talking tips and tactics, run and gun versus sit and get, and reflecting on our interview guest for today, who is Colonel Tom Kelly. Colonel Tom Kelly is 93 years of age as it stands. Throughout his life, he's been called the poet laureate of turkey hunting, and in my mind has done the best job of representing turkey hunters and turkeys and our pursuit in the written word maybe ever. So he's a legend, and it's very special to sit down with him. Probably the only podcast he's ever done and ever will do, you're about to hear. So hopefully it stands up to the lofty goals of his career. I've long wanted to meet Tom and have a conversation with him. So hopefully you will enjoy it as much as I did. But before we get to that, we're going to talk about something from First Light, and that's the Woody Grit muck boots. Now, these just went onto the website at firstlight.com. I saw them there, and I figured I want to talk to you about them because I got them, and they're going to be badass. These are the neoprene with the PK mesh lining. They're featured in First Light Fusion. And if you've never worn muck boots, what the hell are you doing? Get yourself a pair of muck boots. I was just wearing my muck boots out for mushroom hunting last week. So it's a must if you live in the muddy climate of the early spring here in Montana, or really anywhere else. If you're a duck hunter, you wear them shoveling the driveway in the wintertime, whatever you need. The muck boots are there for you. And these just happen to have a kick-ass First Light Fusion pattern on them. So you should go there. Go to firstlight.com and check them out. They're pretty cool. I like them. Nobody told me to say that. I just saw them on the website. They're a limited run, so get there now. They're going to sell out soon, I bet. So get over there to firstlight.com. All right. Without further ado, one of my favorite podcasts of all time coming right at you. Let's go.
I guess I grew up on an older road. A pedal to the metal, always did what I was told. Until I found out that my brand new clothes came secondhand from the rich kids next door. And I grew up fast, I guess I grew up mean. There's 1,000 things inside my head I wish I ain't seen. And now I just wander through a real bad dream, or feeling like I'm coming apart at the seams. But thank you, Jack Daniels. Oh, number 7.
Hey, everybody. It's me, Ben O'Brien. I host this podcast. It's called The Hunting Collective, and we're back on a very sad, sad day. It's June. It'll be June 4th when you're listening to this, and this is kind of in memoriam to turkey season. She was good to us this year, I feel like, and we got to move on to other things. Bears, spring bear season, and then just like...
What makes it a female?
What's that?
What makes turkey season a female?
Just because I'm in love with her, you know? It's a heterosexual relationship.
You feel weird if you're saying, I love him, the turkey season?
So it's just me, but I mean, I wouldn't judge anybody if they wanted to personify turkey season as a guy or a gal or an it or whatever you need it to be. But for me, she's a gentle lover, and I will miss her until... I don't really hunt fall turkeys, or I would miss her till the fall, but spring turkeys to me is just a different time.
Yeah, I always say if I get all my big game tags filled, that I'd go chase some fall turkeys, but that hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just really melancholy right now. I'm sad. I had a good year. You had a good year.
Yeah, I'm actually not. I'm not sad.
No?
Because I quenched on Sunday. And so I'm very satiated right now.
So you feel...
It's Tuesday, so that was 2 days ago. And it was a very, you could say I saved the best for last.
Best for last.
Or she, turkey season, saved the best for last.
She's a wonderful, wonderful companion. All right, well, tell us this last turkey story. I believe you were in Wisconsin, were you not?
Yeah.
With the great Doug Duran?
Mm-hmm. But, just a few days prior to that, Steve and I were in Michigan hunting turkeys with a very special guest that'll be on the Meteor podcast soon.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if we should mention it or not.
I forgot to ask you about that off air. It's a super big secret.
Yeah, big teaser.
How'd it go? Without saying who it was.
All I'll say is there's a couple people that fit this bill, but he played a couple sports really well.
Yeah.
It went well.
Did he play turkeys really well?
Did not play turkeys really well.
Unfortunate.
Passed up shots at Jake's though.
It's a classy gentleman.
Yeah, and I'll start my story in my turkey hunting story in Michigan with a Jake because it was the last day. I'd passed up Jake's on the first day. We only had 2 days to hunt. So there was one day, the first day and second day, first and last. And Steve was giving me a bunch of shit. He's like, really? A 1 day hunt? You're passing up a Jake? I'm like, yeah, that's what I did. You know, I like the big breasts of a gobbler. You know, I really like those big breasts. And I like longbeards. You know, there's just something about killing a longbeard over a Jake. It just... it feels a little bit better for some reason. But a guy who I was hunting with, who runs this ranch for our buddy Matt, he was like, Tom is a Tom, a gobbler is a gobbler, Jake or Tom. He's like, it's a male turkey to me, doesn't matter. And we just happened to see 5 Jakes at that moment when we're having this conversation out in a field. And I'm like, yeah, but we got like 4 or 5 hours left before I really have to go. And he's like, buddy, don't let me influence your thinking, but I would be killing a Jake. And I'm like, you know what? You're right. Like, when it's the last day and you want to go home with some meat and you got some Jakes in front of you, you should probably try to kill one. So I take like 5 steps. I'm like, and he's like, I'm going to call a little bit and see what they do, you know, and I'm kind of glassing them. I take 5 steps and I look, I'm like, oh shit, they're coming, you know. I'm like, I'm just going to sit down right here at this tree I'm next to. He's like, go to that next one. I'm like, no, man, they're coming. Like, it'll be good. And we're kind of on a little logging road that just connects a power line to a field, and it's only 70 yards long, maybe 15 yards wide. And I'm pulling my seat down with one hand, holding my gun in the other, and my butt's still like a foot off the ground, and I'm looking down the lane, and I see a longbeard come around the corner of the field and onto the road that we're on. But the Jakes are still, 75, 80 yards out, and all of a sudden this longbeard's just like, hey, I heard that. What's up?
What's up, Bo?
And I barely had time to I just let go of my seat and just put my butt on the ground and threw up my gun and popped him. but I almost felt like it was a sign because I was like, I'm cool with shooting a Jake. And then whoever it be up there that, helps make decisions like that was like, you know what? Since you made amends, here's a Longbeard for you.
Thanks for your flexibility.
Uh-huh.
We're going to let you.
Yeah.
And this is in Michigan still? Or is this
that was my Michigan hunt.
What, Michigan?
Yeah.
And that was number what turkey for you this spring?
That was number 6.
6. That's pretty. That's more than most people kill, Yanni.
That I had bested my best ever season of 5 at that point.
So you were just, it was all gravy.
I was shooting for 10. I had enough tags to make it to 10 in Wisconsin.
I told Doug Duran that on the phone. I was like, I think Yanni has a little bit of hubris coming out there. He's shooting for 10. Then he reminded me, he's like, aren't you shooting for 10? I was like, yes. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I have similar hubris. Now, I only got to 4 myself, and that's a big issue with me. I don't feel like a failure because every hunt I went on, I killed a turkey. But
That's good.
But yeah, but
I didn't kill one. Well,
I think you did, didn't you? Except for that one Montana bird you guys.
Yeah, I didn't kill one on that hunt, and that was a lot of days we put in. And I even went back to try to kill that bird. We'll get back to him.
We're gonna
later.
get to him. But to set up our turkey season, I always go in for 10. Is my goal always because I feel like
how many always hold on
the last 3 years.
3 years. Okay,
always
because you've been hunting turkeys how long?
Since I was 14. I don't know, 15.
So that's 20 years.
20 years, probably 20 years.
You're 35.
33.
20 years of turkey hunting.
20.
You got 10 years on me.
Probably roughly 20 years. But I mean, the first how many ever years, probably the first 12 years was very sporadic. Over the last 8 years, I've really gotten.
You weren't real serious.
I wasn't real serious. If it was turkey season, I'd go. But over the last 8 years, it's like, I got to go.
How many years have you called yourself a turkey fanatic?
Probably 4 or 5, something like that. Something similar to that. When I really felt like that's the thing I was waiting for the most. And I know I live in Montana now. I'm supposed to say elk hunting and blah, blah, blah. But I've said this on this podcast many times, and I'll repeat it, that there's something about turkey season that gets me going. It just really gets me excited. So I try to kill, for the last 3 years, I've set a goal of 10 birds per year, knowing that each bird would yield roughly 8 to 10 pounds of meat. I feel like 10 birds. Plus, I love hunting them, so I would take 20 if possible. But 10 birds kind of feels like the amount of meat I would need to offset a bunch of need for white meat for the rest of the year, plus legs and thighs and things that you can do to offset some other consumption. So that's something that I've been trying to do. I think I've gone like 6-6-4 this year, something like that, or 5-6-4, something like that. So it always seems like I end up in that mid, like halfway to my goal.
Yeah, man, and that's a lot of turkey hunting. Is a lot of turkey killing.
It is
to get to 5 or 6.
It is, and it's never. I feel this year like the time I spent in the woods, I maximized. With everything going on, I maximized the time in the woods. And like you were just saying about Michigan, I don't know if everybody else is like this, but it feels like my turkey hunts are only a day or two long. I never get like a 5-day turkey hunt or a 6-day turkey hunt. It always feels like they're truncated to the point where I'm going hard after just getting a bird killed.
You're like, I could take a nap. But I'm only here for 1 day. I better keep pounding it, and maybe I'll get this gobbler fired up at 1:30 in the afternoon.
And it often leads to afternoon killings. But anyway, that was my goal for this year.
It also leads to being tired as.
Look, being tired in the midday of a turkey hunt is different. I've been like mind-bendingly tired this year on a couple of afternoon.
I actually think I went a step farther. I used to enjoy the mind-bending tiredness where you're kind of like the world's, and this happens elk hunting too if you haven't taken your midday naps like you should, like a good elk hunter, where the world seems to get a little hazy and foggy, and your brain is hazy and foggy. You can't make good decisions. And you lay down for an hour, sometimes 2, every now and then 3, and you wake up and all of a sudden it's like, this is how everything should feel and look again, and you're back in action.
It's like 15 minutes sometimes. It's like your synapses just aren't quite firing, and then 15 minutes, your brain refreshes.
Every little bit helps.
It does help. And I remember in Texas this year, we were on, you guys had already left, and I'd stayed an extra day, and we just went through like a hot as hell, no gobble day. Heard a couple gobbles on the roost, was just nothing after that, and must have hiked. We hiked a long way around the same Yanni loop that you hiked on that spot in Texas. And I just, by the midday, my buddy Tyler and I were both we would be talking, and then one of us would fall asleep. We'd be walking, and one of us would just stop talking, and one of your eyes would be closed, and you just didn't really know where you were. And you'd wake up, and so at that point, you just gotta take a nap.
You do.
Just gotta give yourself a break.
But I think what happened to me this year, and I'm not complaining, because half of it's for work, That's what they call it. That's what they say. But because you're hammering like that, and so instead of taking naps, you're punching emails. Instead of taking naps, you're recording a podcast. Instead of taking naps, you're, fixing a meal for some people, whatever it might be. And then you're, next morning you were getting up at 3:30 to go turkey hunt. Next morning you get up at 3 because you got to make a flight somewhere at 5:30. And I think I wore myself down where I've been now battling, I think, for 10 days, like what I'm calling the turkey crud. The turkey season crud, man. It's like I feel like I've been like at 90 and 95% for like a solid 10 days. Like it's not putting me down, but I'm just not quite there. There's a little congestion, a slight headache, and it's just, I think I'm going to sleep this week with no 3:30 a.m. wake ups, and by Friday I'm going to
be fine.
101 again.
Well, we did the rendezvous, and then I went to Idaho and hunted a couple days, and I went to Oregon, and I had just went to South Dakota, and by the time I got home from that little run, I was here but not here for a couple of days, at least a couple of days. I had the sniffles. I wasn't sleeping right. I was hearing gobbles at every corner in the office. I just wasn't right. And I felt like that was my turkey, like the turkey haze, the turkey fog. That causes. And there's other, whitetails, you get that too. If you do a bunch of all day sits in a row, you get a little bit loopy.
For sure.
And elk too and everything else. But turkeys for me feels like
you don't have to get up nearly as early for all day November whitetail sits, and you're not burning anywhere near the calories.
No, 3:30.
You don't have to make decisions. You're in a tree. The decision's made for you. All you have to do is sit there. I guess you have to make a decision on am I going to look at my phone again? Should I look left or right? Sure. You have to stay focused, and that I'm not downplaying it. It takes mental toughness and energy. And does. As soon as you let your guard down, freaking there's the buck. You're not ready for it. But no, man, when you get foggy and he's gobbling and you're like, God, should I move? Should I not move? Should I go to the left? Should I go to the right? Is he going to go up to the bench? Is he not? Should I get closer before I call? Should I set up and call right now?
Yep. And that's why I love it. That's why I love it. So we're going to go through, I sent you some bullet pointed topics.
Mm-hmm.
Some of these are like internal debates. Some of these are just things that I want to talk about. One of them you just mentioned. But this is one that we've been arguing in the office and on social media. Turkey vest versus pack. Turkey vest versus pack. Where do you fall? I know where you fall, but tell the...
You don't know where I fall.
I don't? No? Mm-mm. You tell me you're going to hit me here with something?
In the last... I'm trying to think. I probably started out... So I've been roughly hunting 10, maybe 12 years hunting turkeys. I probably started out straight backpack. Then, because I was jealous of everybody's seat, I went, but I didn't want to wear the vest because I had this thing in my head about the vest, and the guys I ran with didn't run vests. That I found I think it was called a Cabela Speed Seat. And it was basically a fanny pack with a butt thing. And I still have it like it.
It's got side pouch. I got one too. It's got side pouches. It's cool.
Yeah, it's not quite big enough. It could be a little bit bigger. But the problem is that the butt pad never really wants to stay up in position, so it's kind of always flopping against the back of your legs. I've done some modifications to it. It's a little bit better. Anywho, I ran that for solid 5, 6, 7 years, something like that. Just this year, because I wanted to try a vest, I got me a Primos turkey vest.
Ooh.
It's pretty cool because this one's called, I think they're rocker vest. So it's basically got like a Crazy Creek camping chair built into it. You familiar with the chair I'm talking about?
Yeah.
It's got like two straps that kind of connect it. You sit in it and your legs support your back. So it's pretty slick because anywhere you want, you can sit down and you're glassing. It works slick for glassing because you just immediately have like, Jennifer looked at me the other day, my wife is like, man, I can't believe how long you've been holding that position. Like my core has just become a rock. I'm like, well, no, I had this chair.
This is Primo's chair.
So this is the first year I've ever run a vest. And so I don't know. I've got thoughts on all of them, and I can't say one's better than any one of them are better than the other.
And just to be clear, that you've hunted in the Intermountain West a bunch this year. You've hunted in Texas. You've hunted in Michigan and Wisconsin. So you've hunted around both in an area where you would normally carry a pack, which would be Montana, Idaho, wherever, where you're looking at a lot of steep pitches and a lot of hiking, and areas that are more flat and arid where you generally wouldn't need a pack if you're going out all day. There's no property I've been to in Texas that I would think to take a pack and put anything in it, because normally you're walking on the road or walking to a feeder or like it just doesn't feel the same. So I think that's kind of where this thing, it's like a cultural divide almost, because Brody Henderson comes out, it's like, I'm wearing a pack and this is why. Like, yeah, but that's because you live in Colorado. If I would take Brody Henderson and raise him in Tennessee, I guarantee he'd be wearing a vest.
Yeah. The thing I got, my complaint, I guess I'll go with the pros of the vest first. It freaking keeps your shit organized. It also allows you to carry too much turkey shit, I feel like. Where my little fanny pack, I was like, no, only these 3 calls. And with the vest, you're like, oh, well, might as well carry 3 glass and 2 slate and, 18 strikers.
It's got all the pockets.
Yeah, you got to put some shit in them, So, yeah, the thing about the vest, even in Wisconsin this last weekend, with the whole turkey in that vest, you don't have to walk very far until you're like, oh, this thing doesn't have a hip belt. It doesn't carry a 20, 25 pound load on my back very well. My shoulders are feeling it, So I think it comes down to how far you're willing to walk. Because we did some tours in Texas where had you killed a bird at the far end and you didn't have a buggy to ride back in, you'd be much happier packing that bird back in a pack than in your vest. The thing about the packs, though, is that you really get troublesome because you do, and with turkey hunting, you need a seat, man. You want to call me a wussy for saying you need to have one, whatever, I don't care. But to sit there comfortably for a long time and not fidget and not twitch and not be moving your butt cheeks back and forth and be still like you need to be in turkey hunting, you got to be sitting on a butt pad. And a lot of times you need to do it quickly. Yep. So you can't be pulling it out of your backpack and wherever you got it stuffed or whatever and getting underneath it. And then when you want to run and gun or start crawling from your last position, you need that thing to be attached to you. So you can't stuff it back in and then go doing your thing. Right now, there is not the perfect answer for, I feel like, what I would call like I'm going to say long range. It's not like a sheep hunter long range, but a long range turkey hunter.
Yeah, like a day trip.
Like a day trip where you could easily be hiking 5 to 10 miles would not be out of the question, and you might pack a bird back a couple miles.
Well, I think
flatland or hilly ground, it doesn't matter.
When I look at it, I think it's like accessibility of your stuff, calls and things you need to go grab. Here comes a bird, you don't have time to, like if you're running a slate call and you have to reach behind and some extra pouch in your pack, and so you have to have the stuff accessible. With a vest, everything's accessible. Yeah.
When I ran the fanny pack, though, I would just utilize all my pockets that I have in my clothes a lot more.
Yeah.
Right? Crow call in, one pocket, slate in a cargo pocket, striker, in the cargo pocket next to it so that it's not clicking and banging.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. I think so. If you can solve for accessibility with a pack on, if you could wear like a pack for hauling stuff and then like a fanny pack for carrying your essentials, or if something like Stone Glacier would have like a little attachment for, your calls and whatnot, I think you'd be solved. Whereas you have all this accessibility with a vest, but all the weight hangs around your waist. I mean, when you're traveling in mountain country, you're told to get the load bearing strap of your pack above your hips to carry the weight better.
You mean
So-
the weights? You're bearing the weight on your shoulders in a vest.
Yeah,
is what you
well,
mean.
all the weight's around your waist, which makes you bear the weight on your shoulders. Right? It's all. There's no displacement of.
Yeah, there's no hip belt.
Yeah, there's nothing there. So it's moving around. It's not real comfortable to walk in. Although once you get used to it, you're used to it. But it's still the way to distribute the weights you're carrying sucks. Because if you say you put a decoy in the back, you've got all this box calls and slate calls and flashlights and stuff in the front. It's hanging off your body
Yeah.
in a way that stresses your
But
shoulders.
decoys, same thing. I hunted with some guys in Montana this year that were packing deeks on their backpack, and I was packing them in the just giant game pouch of my vest. And man, I could deploy and set up in half the time that it was taking them.
And they're like taking their packs off, getting their snaps. If there's a turkey,
and then packing up, same thing. I'm like, we got a boogie, let's go. I'm like, back in my little pouch, and I'm running. And they're like, oh, I gotta like get the bungee cords out.
yeah,
And-
hold on, big loud snaps. Oh, snap this in, snap this in. You're like, well, the turkey's now gone. Great pack. I still lean toward the vest for the reasons I outlined there, but I could see why a pack would be important if you're in the Mountain West or somewhere where you're getting a lot of elevation gain. You're driving a lot of miles. So totally get all that. It's a great. We'll continue to have it, but maybe one day we'll create the meat eater turkey vest. It's perfect.
Yeah, I could definitely use a more minimal turkey vest, and then some sort of load bearing technology. You know that would
That
like
would do it.
Yeah,
Okay, let's write in with your ideas, or send us feedback. What's the ultimate turkey conveyance, turkey carrying device? A vest pack, if you will, a vest pack. All right, what else we got here? We were talking about this a little bit earlier. Run and gun versus sit and get.
I'd never heard sit and get. That's pretty good.
Sit and
Did you
get.
come up with that?
Nope. One of my first editing when I was working at the National Rifle Association as an editor for American Hunter. One of my coworkers wrote a headline that was run and gun or sit and get. I was like, I'll use that for the rest of my turkey hunt days, because it really does kind of, you have like the micro elements of making that decision, but then the macro element of what kind of turkey hunter am I? Like, what's my philosophy on turkeys?
Oh, okay.
Right.
I see what you're saying, because I was going to ask you. I was like, isn't this podcast all about nuance? Because the answer falls somewhere in between the two, Ben.
Thanks for bringing that up, Yanni. There's certainly no bullshit here. But no, I think your general philosophy is like, what do I tend to do? And then in the moment, what do I decide
Can
to do?
you describe the two? Like, what would make me want one or another?
So if you're a sit and get hunter, right? If you're a guy that likes to stay put, you're generally going to locate a turkey and plant yourself in an area close to it where it would funnel towards, or where it might tend to travel, and sit there and stay there.
Hours.
You're in a
playing
blind.
the patience game.
You're sitting on a food plot. You're playing the game of he's going to come by here eventually, and the game that I'm playing is my patience will win out. This turkey's going to want to be in this field strutting or whatever he would be doing.
Yep.
It's a pinch point and whatever in the timber. So that's the sit and get hunter. That you would tend to do that. So if the bird flies off the roost, he doesn't come to your little field at a spot you set up. He starts going to a place where you know you might be able to kill him. Like, I think I'll back off, as to not pressure him. He's going to come back by here eventually. As a run and gun guy, you might start off thinking, well, I'll sit here and see if he'll come by where I'm at. But you just can't take it. If he flies,
You're lacking patience.
you're lacking patience. Or maybe you have this turkey hunting hubris built in that you think you can outsmart him, and you think you can do it quicker than being the guy that sits and waits.
Right.
So the guy, maybe we're talking about like the run and gun guy is a gambler, and the sit and get guy or gal is patient. He lays in wait.
Man, I've definitely have been both of them this turkey season. And I can tell, and maybe I had more opportunities that allowed me to have more fuck ups being a running gunner. But when I, what's the word I'm looking for? Sort of went towards patience and sit and get more, I became more successful.
I think you're right. I think there's a lot of turkey hunters, me included, who just can't. It's just the time of year, the way to hunt. You just feel like if you can move around and you have space and you're not confined to a small property or whatever, which tends to be out here in the West, you can tend to move around a good bit. That bumping a bird, oh well, like I'll find another one. So you feel like I'm willing to gamble because it's more fun to me. It's the better experience to go and work. Understanding where this bird wants to go, how to manipulate him is a little bit more interactive than just sitting in a place and letting it be known that there's a turkey in this field and continually hammering on that idea until you've convinced him to come over or he's coming anyway. But I just feel like beyond what your general philosophy is here, it's like knowing where the turkey wants to be is a huge part of the equation.
Yes.
If you know kind of where he wants to be and how he wants to get there, you can play either one of these two games pretty effectively. Get there and sit down, or get in between where he wants to go and where he is, whatever the case might be.
Yeah.
Do you feel like that maybe in this whole game of strategy with turkeys is the one thing that matters the most? If you eliminate the calling ability.
Knowing where they want to be?
Yeah.
Well, I think with any hunting, any game, that's just a huge advantage of knowing it. When you roll in cold and never have hunted a zone, that's mostly what you're trying to figure out for the first 2 or 3 days is what the hell's going on.
Yeah,
and that includes what does everything look like, and it includes where does the game want to be, where do they sleep, where do they eat, Yeah.
No, you're right.
I think, being a mountain hunter and having, legs that can go and not minding go, it's certainly tough to, sit for long periods of the time. I mean, the first day in Wisconsin, Jennifer and I was hunting with my wife, and we circumnavigated the farm twice. And Doug's like, dude, it usually takes me 3 days to do it once, And the first day we did it twice, But again, I think I was kind of doing some recon, but we weren't hearing a lot of gobbles. And then I got on one and I was trying to get close. I was pushing him and he saw something. Either that or I bumped a deer over past him, and that was enough to shut him up. But I muffed him, and I was really, really upset because that was like the first opportunity we had in 2 days. And yeah.
I have two distinct muffings this year. 2 times where I muffed it. The second time...
That's it, huh?
That was it.
I got way more than that.
Really? Well, there's probably other muffings that I didn't even realize I had perpetrated. The second one, I was in Oregon hunting with Kevin Harlander from First Light, and this is a pretty unique situation. I think this bird, I'd never heard a turkey gobble as much as this turkey. Like it seemed to me like he couldn't go a step without gobbling. Like he would take pregnant pauses of like 10, 15 seconds, but he just blah, 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 hitting them. What I think later is that he just had a hen that he had bred that went to nest or something like that. Like she had just left him. Something had happened because it was still pretty late in the season. He wasn't just starting to get fired up.
Mm-hmm.
So I was trying to figure that out. When we first heard him, he was a good ways away, and we covered this country. Well, he ended up being on this kind of pine knob in the middle of some pretty rolling country. So by the time we got to where we knew where he was, and we could hear his gobble every 5 seconds, so we just tracked him pretty quickly. There was a clear cut between us and him, and he had the elevation on us. He's probably 500 feet above us. We were down in this little creek bottom that was edged with some timber. And we're standing at the edge of this timber. He's gobbling. I know if we cross this clear cut of timber to get to this stream, to get on the hill he's on, he's probably going to see us. But if we take the chance and we get over there, we're going to kill him. If we can get across this clear cut and get on the same hill he's on.
You couldn't go around.
We could have gone around, right? Kevin gave me hey man, we could maybe go around. I was like, yeah, but if he doesn't see us...
Time is of the essence.
Yeah, time is of the essence. This guy's gobbling his face off. If we can get across here without him seeing us, then we're in the money. Now, circling around, I've never been in this country. I don't know what's over there. He may see us if we go that way. So we kind of could either sit here and see what he does, or I didn't feel like he would have had to fly down to us from where he was, and I just didn't feel like wanting to chance that with letting him know we were there. And so I was like, let's just scoot across here really quick. Let's wait till he's gobbling. And it sounds like he's facing the other way. Just like, I don't know if he can see us or not, but boy, if he's at the lip of this hill he's on, he'll be able to see us and he'll spook.
O'Reilly Auto Parts are in the business of keeping your car on the road. O'Reilly Auto Parts offer friendly, helpful service and the parts knowledge you need for all your maintenance and repairs. If you're confused about what part you need, like what wipers are going to be the best, what replacement headlights are going to be the best, go into O'Reilly and talk to the people that work there because they're great and they're super friendly and they'll get you squared away where you walk out knowing you got the right thing. They've got thousands of parts and accessories in stock, either in-store or online, so you never have to worry if you're in a jam. Do you need your windshield wipers replaced? You need a brake light fixed? You need some quick service? They'll help you find the right part or point you to the nearest local repair shop for help. The professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts are your one-stop shop for all things auto do-it-yourself, and you can find what you need in-store or online. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts today or visit us at O'ReillyAuto.com/MeatEater. That's O'ReillyAuto.com/MeatEater. You ever get that feeling you're stuck inside staring at screens and a primal urge kicks in? You crave wide open spaces, fresh air, the chance to connect with the land? Well, maybe it's time to find your own piece of the wild, but searching for property can be a maze. That's where Land.com comes in. They got millions of listings across the country, from mountain ranches to hidden fishing holes. Their search tools are like a seasoned guide helping you narrow down what you want. Land.com isn't just about buying and selling. It's about finding a place to hunt, fish, explore, or simply sit by a campfire and listen to the crickets. So head over to Land.com today to turn one day into today, because trust me, there's nothing quite like the feeling of standing on your own piece of earth. There's nothing like snook hook sets at dawn or catching a tarpon in the moonlight. Find your next fishing trip made easy on fishingbooker.com and experience the magic of the Sunshine State or any other destination on your fishing bucket list. Book a blue water adventure in search of sailfish or go snapper fishing with the kids. With over 6,000 captains and trips to choose from, planning your next one just got a whole lot easier. Download the Fishing Booker app on the Google Play or App Store or visit them online at fishingbooker.com to book your trip today.
And so I was like, kept saying, okay. We got halfway across that field, stopped in this little set of timber, went the rest of the way across that field, and by that time he's not a sound. And this is a bird that's been gobbling every 5 seconds for 20 minutes. And so I knew immediately, I'm like, dude, we just spooked that bird. And it's not something where we never saw him. I don't think we ever got really that close to him. He just had the high ground on us. And that was his zone. That was his area. And so he ended up gobbling later, about 5 minutes later, he gobbles. He's 500 yards down away from us, and ended up killing him later on. But that was a crappy feeling. We had the most fired up turkey I had ever heard within 500 yards, and we just screwed it.
Yeah, nothing worse from going fired up from 0 to 0.
That's 0
in the turkey woods.
0.
Oh, it hurts.
And you were there for the first one I muffed, where I just was hunting with a buddy Tyler, and you had left with Brendan, and we were in Texas hunting. Was it right before we killed that bird? The bird I shot. It was right after. It was
the evening hunt.
We had shot my bird in the afternoon, and then we'd split up, and Tyler and I were sitting on a spot, really just napping, waiting in the mid-afternoon. Next thing I know, I got a gobbler at like 400 yards starting to light it up, start calling. He's coming on a string, but I know he's coming through like a cattle pasture, and I was worried that those cattle were going to bump him around. And I'm calling. He's coming on a string. And then all of a sudden, as he's about to crest this little ridge to get down in this flat where we are, I hear, the next gobble I hear, he's 300 yards the other way going. Like, what? What happened? And so I said, well, we better get up to this little ridge, show him the fan, do something to get his attention so he comes back and we can kill him. We got up. We went about 50 yards. We're on the hill. the little crest of this hill where we were going to show him the fan and see if we could get him to come back. And we hear spitting and drumming on the other side of this rock we're sitting by. And he had come all the way back across and was now 10 yards away from us, spitting.
Or,
drumming,
something just came to mind. I've heard that story a couple of times, but something just came to mind is, which often happened to me this weekend, is he might have turned or been in a depression or just threw his voice, and he gobbles one time at 50, and then he gobbles and something changes the direction that he's pointing, or he goes into a little depression, and that same gobble sounds like it's 300 yards away.
And I think that's what happened to us. I think there was cattle in there, and he might have been bumping around a little bit in ways he wouldn't have otherwise, but I think he just turned and gobbled the other way. And I heard it wrong and was impatient. If I'd have been patient, he would have walked right down, we'd have shot him. But I was impatient. In both those two cases, I feel like just being patient and just playing the cards you're dealt, not trying to force it, would have been dead turkeys. Both those cases, I screwed the pooch. So,
sit and get,
baby. Well, that's good. Now we can figure all that out for everybody. I think you just got to determine when you go out to turkey hunt what you are. Are you run and gun, or are you sit and get? And think real hard about it. Here's the last one.
There's time for both, I say.
I think you're right. Is a turkey fan safe to use on public lands? Do you use it on public lands?
I do, but definitely public lands where, like, I haven't seen another turkey hunter.
Yeah, like you're aware of the kind of...
Like, if I parked somewhere in a trailhead where there was, like, the chance that I was going to see another turkey hunter, or there was another truck there, probably wouldn't be working a fan. I'd probably still pack, like, a decoy that has a fan and use it.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be, like, fanning a turkey and just holding that thing right next to my head. I think that's a bad idea.
Yeah, I think so, too. I've had a lot of people ask about that. It's like, you feel like it's unsafe? I'm like, yeah, it is unsafe in general. I mean, if you're hunting a place where you don't know what other hunters are around, or you can't predict that.
For sure, man.
Throwing up a turkey fan in front of your face.
Some states, I think it's Pennsylvania, says that you can't hunt, you can't stalk with a decoy, I think is how they put it.
Would be smart. I mean, it's definitely not out of the question. I'm sure if we looked pretty hard, we'd find a lot of examples of guys getting popped using turkey fans.
Yeah.
Guys getting shot.
Seth, who's from Pennsylvania, says there's quite a few every year. And I mean, turkey hunting just lends itself to that. I mean, think about it, man. All these people out there not taking their naps, got up at 3:30 in the morning, and now it's 11, and like, you've had 3 tough days of hunting, and now you hear one that's hammering. You go over the ridge, and you happen to see the fan decoy instead of the gobbler that's 200 yards to the right or whatever.
You're just like, well, I'll shoot him right there.
It's real easy to be hazy and not...
Yeah, and there you are with your head behind a fan, and every once in a while you're looking out, but I mean, you're really presenting the thing people want to see.
Oh yeah, and my fan doesn't. My fan's got a red head attached.
Yeah,
to
your
it.
Your fan's got everything you'd want to see. So
exactly.
All the visual cues,
I'd be like, right there at the base of the neck.
So yeah, I mean, just I guess be smart. But I think as a turkey hunting community, we're gonna have to figure that out. It's a relatively new phenomenon that guys are carrying turkey fans around. So hopefully it doesn't become a big issue. But it's certainly something to think about and talk about, I say.
Oh, yeah, I think most people know that you need to be... I think with decoys in general, I mean, this is a little more dangerous because you are, like, working the decoy in your hand. Mm-hmm. But I think most people are pretty aware of that.
True. All right, well, you have your big Latvian Eagle paddle call, a giant box call.
Mm-hmm. But I got a new one.
Oh, you got a new one?
Yeah, now I got one that I can actually put into my turkey vest because that long handle, or what do they call them? What is the actual name for the long box call?
I don't know. Is there a name for it? I was just making up a Latvian name.
Paddle call is
paddle
one.
Call. That's what I always call them, paddle call. But there's something else.
It might just be a long box call. Anyways, yeah, I got a one-sided box call from a fellow by the name of J.D. Peck. Martin Brothers is the name of his company, Gobbler's Choice. Ooh. And our buddy Guy Zuck fine-tuned it for me. And
she sounds good.
It's pretty sweet.
There's a guy wrote in, Bill Reyes from Canyon, Texas. He was asking about, is there a specific type of wood that you prefer for your calls? He said that I seem like a knowledgeable turkey hunter. I don't think he knows me well. And is there a call maker you would recommend? What do you think? I never really thought about types of wood, honestly. I just pick a call up and feel it and slam on it and see
No,
what
man,
it
that's
sounds.
beyond me. I think you have to have like a musician's ear to be able to hear the nuanced difference between if it's a butternut or a cherry or whatever. I think that new box call I have is butternut and ipe are the two different ones.
I've heard a lot of like mahoganies over the year. Like people say mahogany's good. I've also heard people say poplar is good. I don't know. Walnut I've heard is nice.
Yeah,
I think it just depends on the call
I think
maker.
a lot of slate bottoms are made out of cherry, but I have no personal preference. I pick it up, and if it sounds good, I'm going to roll with it.
But there is a groove you get. I think you get in this groove with all calls where you kind of hit it enough where you know exactly, like it's like a musical instrument. It's like playing the violin. Like you kind of just know how to play it once you've used it long enough. I mean, you certainly can make the notes if you just pick it up for the first time. But when you're having a conversation with a turkey, that Oregon bird, I called him back in with a box call, with an old wet willy call my dad had given me when I was a kiddo, or I had since I was real young. And I just know how to play the call. It's a piece of shit. Like it's no good. Like it probably just needs to replace. But I kind of just have done it so much with that thing that I know.
If it calls them turkeys, I don't think I'd be replacing it.
It's just kind of falling apart. I need to fix it up.
In that case, you have to do that.
So
yeah,
Bill,
I have no help for Bill.
Sorry, Bill. We're useless in this. But we're about to get to.
I would call. Well, he did ask who are some good call makers.
He did ask that.
Yeah.
Listen, I've gone all the way from like custom calls to I had a custom maker in Iowa make a slate call for a hunt I did, and then a guy over in Maryland, a buddy of mine, have another custom box call made, and those things they're both great calls, and I use them, but I wouldn't put it past like a Nightingale or a Primos. I've picked some of those calls up and thought they sounded really good. Sometimes those factory calls will feel chintzy when you pick them up, but you strike them and they sound great. Mm-hmm. So I guess my advice there is as bad as my advice for the type of wood is, man, you kind of have to go through them. And I don't know that I've ever run into a custom call that sounded so much better than a store-bought factory manufactured call that I could say one way or the other. How you feel about that?
Yeah. I haven't messed around with the custom calls too much. There's a guy by the name of Albert Paul who might have quit making calls now. And I think that his field grades were running right around $100. The guys that mentored me early on all ran his box call. Said it was the best. Like I said, that new one I got from JD Martin, that one's only $25. It's a steal.
Oh yeah,
for a call that's not mass produced.
I like it.
Who else? Yeah, Jason Phelps. Obviously, we like his diaphragm calls.
Yeah, Cal was running some of his diaphragm calls. They sounded really good, man.
Yeah,
they were striking up some Texas turkeys like you wouldn't believe. Really good. But I want to move on to kind of the reason. Well, maybe one of the reasons I'm here. Maybe it's one of the reasons you're here as well. This podcast includes an interview with a man named Colonel Tom Kelly. I traveled to Bethesda, Maryland, to where Colonel Tom currently lives, and was able to track him down in an apartment in a high-rise in Bethesda, Maryland, where he lives now, following the passing of his wife. His daughter and family live there. He's 93 years old, and he's a bit of kind of in an assisted living situation where he has nurses that come and people that come and clean his apartment. But he's still, for being 93 years old, he's as intelligent and spry as I imagine he would have been in his prior years. And I think it's an important conversation. It's very important to me because this man's work, mainly his book, The 10th Legion, but some of his other books have inspired me is maybe a word that's too trite, but definitely some of the most creative storytelling around turkey hunting there ever has been, and a person that has been able to capture what it is to be a turkey hunter, to be a part of the culture better than anyone that I've ever read. So that's what's made him a legend, made him the poet laureate, as a lot of people call him, of turkey hunting. So that's my opinion, but what do you think there, Jan, about Colonel Tom Kelly?
Yep, I'd agree with you. Yeah, I haven't read any of his other work other than the 10th Legion, but I've probably read that book 3 or 4 times in the last dozen years. It was, again, same crew that mentored me early on, gave me that book in my first or second turkey season and said, read this, and this will explain a lot about it. And it's cool because, like you said, it talks about the culture and what it means to be a turkey hunter, and then he gets into tips and tactics as well. And mostly what I get out of it, man, is just like the respect that he feels that, you know, the turkey demands and deserves. And I think you can tell that he would feel that way about all wildlife, you know. I think that's, you know, we probably share those same values with him, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I asked him if I don't want to spoil the interview, so we'll get to it here in a minute, but I asked him if he could have a conversation with the last turkey that he would ever kill. What would he say? You know, what would he say to the turkey? And he just said something to the effect of, I wish you weren't the last one. I wish there was another one behind you. It was like, he's a 93-year-old man who's definitely got less days ahead of him than there are behind him. And like, he still has a hunger, like, to do it. He was sitting there at this fairly, like, poorly adorned apartment with a walker, and it just, you know, it seemed like he had been transplanted into a place that he wasn't comfortable, but still in front of him were turkey hunting books and a box call he was working on. And he maybe didn't, you know, you'll hear in a minute, like, he might have struggled through some of the details of his life because he's 93 and he's not as sharp as he once was. But when you talk about turkeys, you can hear it in his voice. Like, it's still there.
The passion.
Still has the passion, which says something about him, but also something about turkeys. That it still captivates him the way it captivates us now. So maybe when we're 93, we'll be lucky enough to still have that drive. I'm sure we will.
Yeah. Because those turkeys, they'll have the ability to humble us no matter how long we hunt and how much we think we, in quotes, figure them out, you know?
Yeah, and I think there's really no better way to say goodbye to this turkey season than by talking to Tom Kelly, Colonel Tom Kelly. It's a good conversation. Again, please remember that Tom did his best to work through this. Very respectful with his time, but he is getting up there in age, so he's probably not what he once was as far as his memory and some of the ways that we went through the interview. But regardless, man, what a gem. And he still had a lot of one-liners for us in there. So you have any, you know, final thoughts on Colonel Kelly that you want to keep people out? I mean, the words that you remember, or, you know, kind of what the 10th Legion means to you?
You know what stuck out last time when I read it is, I think he wrote it, it's like 65-ish maybe.
Yeah, so in the early 70s.
Early 70s maybe.
Yeah.
There's definitely a lot of stuff that's dated, and some of the stuff some of his ideas were maybe proven very right or just like wrong. Like, he was talking about how some guys, when calling them, they'll even scratch their hand in the leaves to make it sound like a turkey scratching. And I don't know about that. And I'm like, well, that right there is a tried and true tactic.
That is.
That will fool the wary gobbler that has had enough of your calls. But if he's like, but man, there's a hen over there scratching in the leaves, you know? So that was pretty funny to read that this year and be like, yeah, but Tom, it does work. You know, we figured it out 40 years later that it really works well. No, I don't know if I have any like big thoughts on or any quotes from that book off the top of my head. The one I guess that does stick with me though is, I think it's towards the end of the book, and where he says like, what you're not allowed to do in that game that you play with that turkey is that when you have him dead to rights, you can't let him walk because it's disrespectful to him and to you.
Disrespectful to the game. Disrespectful to the game. Well, good. We'll say goodbye to this turkey season. Then we'll see. We'll pick this conversation up next turkey season. But we're gonna transport ourselves over to Bethesda, Maryland, to talk to the legendary Tom Kelly. I imagine this is one of the very few podcasts he's ever been on, and the few conversations he'll have going forward about turkey. So enjoy it. I enjoyed it. It's a bit of a time capsule for us, and I believe this man not only to be our poet laureate for turkey hunting, but the key to a cache of 80 years of turkey hunting stories and expertise. So hopefully you enjoy this conversation. We'll take you there right now. Mr. Kelly, how are you today? Colonel Kelly?
Fine, thank you.
Thanks for joining me and having me into your home here
Enjoyed it.
in Bethesda. There's a lot of things I want to talk to you about, but the first one is, why do you think turkeys was the thing that you became famous for writing about?
The thing that I think really triggered me into it was my wife. We were going someplace, and she said something to me, and she said, I hear you telling all these stories to people about this. You might ought to write that down, and maybe somebody would want to listen to it. And I had no idea about doing anything like that. And I said, all right, I'll try that. And I had been, at that time, writing. I had been selling an occasional story to Field and Stream and Outdoor Life. And I used to sell some to the one, Sports Illustrated. I used to sell them Sports Illustrated before they fell out of love with killing things, and so I did that, and I started doing it, and then that triggered the whole damn thing. That triggered. To me, I'm not at all interested in big game hunting. I mean, I do not want to. When I hunt something, and this may be cowardice, but when I hunt something, if I lose, I want to lose. I don't want to lose some arms and legs or get my head gnawed off. I don't want to hunt elephants where I'll be trampled by the damn elephant if I do something wrong. Yeah, I'm a hunter, not a sufferer. And that really is what triggered the whole thing more than anything else. And then once it started, the first book I did was 10th Legion. And 10th Legion is, 10th Legion must be in its,
You wrote,
I don't know how many editions. I just don't know.
I think it's 20-some.
Some 20
At least
something.
20-some.
Yeah,
1973 is when that book came out.
Yeah. And of course that triggered it. And then when that triggered it, and then in hunting you just meet a lot of nice folks.
Yeah.
You really do. You meet a lot of nice
folks.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then because I think what people love about that book, what I love about that book, is the way you articulated the motivation of the turkey hunter, our relationship with the turkey, and our interactions with the turkey.
Yeah. Well, if somebody would, God, I don't have any goddamn idea how many turkeys I've killed. I mean, I've been hunting them since 1938. All right, and when I began to kill turkeys fairly regularly, I wish to God I had kept a journal.
Yeah.
I mean, if it was no more than hunted here and hunted there and hunted this and did that and did the other thing. But, so if I've been hunting turkeys for 50 years, well, more than that now.
Say almost 70 years.
70 years. If I've been hunting turkeys for 70 years and if I've killed 4 or 5 turkeys a year, that's whatever 4 or 5 times 70 is, 3,500, something like that.
Yeah, 350 turkeys, like that.
200 or something.
350, 400 turkeys in your life if we were to round up to it.
Yeah.
That's a lot of interactions with one animal.
Yeah, and the thing about it is, I don't care how much you've done it, and I don't care how good you get at it. Every damn year one of them is going to do something to you, and you're going to think, how in the hell could I have been that damn dumb? It never gets old. Yes. It never, ever gets old.
Do you feel that all turkey hunters have a hubris, have a confidence that you get to a point where you think a bird's going to do something, you think you have him figured out? Like, why do we continue to return to this confidence?
Because we don't. Because he will destroy it. If you get that much confidence, he's going to break your neck with it. One of the marvelous things about doing it. If you told me that I could never kill another turkey, I could still enjoy taking people, because you can take somebody, and a turkey's got one characteristic. He cannot hear a whisper. If you talk like this, you can hear one, and you can sit. When I take somebody hunting, I sit right here behind him.
Yeah,
where I can look over his shoulder. That way, if he shoots me with the shotgun, he's got to turn it around and take off his boot and pull the trigger with his toe. So, and I ain't gonna sit there and wait for him to do that. But if you can whisper him all the way to the gun.
Yeah.
You can say, here he comes, here he comes. Let him get behind that tree. Now, don't do anything. And you can talk him all the way up there and do it. And you can have if you told me I could never kill another turkey, I've killed enough. I like to eat them. But if you told me if I could never kill another turkey, I could get a pile of enjoyment out of taking other people turkey hunting. Now, as long as I can get about like this.
Yes,
this can't go on. I mean,
you've moved it along more than most folks.
Well, I moved along, but I ain't going to last to 108 or 116. So the end is out there, and just hopefully it'll come quick.
Well, you said you just turned 93 2 days ago.
93.
Yeah,
93.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, thank you.
Happy belated birthday.
Yeah.
I want to take you all the way back to where you were born and kind of go through a little bit of how you came to be Colonel Tom Kelly of turkey hunting.
I was born in South Alabama, born in Mobile.
Yes, sir.
And it was in 1927, May 15th, 1927. And the early years, kids growing up playing football, all that kind of stuff. The early years, when I got to be, World War II came along. See, when World War II came along, I was 14. Well, I wanted at that point in time, I really wanted to. You could go in the service. The draft was at 18. The draft started at 18, but you could go in the service at 17. Well, I wanted to go in the service at 17. And my daddy was willing to let me go, but my mama wasn't. And I can understand that. No mama wants a 17-year-old boy out there getting shot at.
That's pretty common.
And especially early in the game like that, when we were not doing well at all. In fact, we were getting the shit kicked out of us. and you had to. Nobody could do anything about that. But I got in, and I got in the service. And I got in. I got in just before I got drafted, so I could pick my location. And I was a backseat gunner in dive bombers, SB-2Cs, SBDs first, and then SB-2Cs. And then later in the war, when it was obvious that everybody was moving, we ended the war in Europe. We had won that one. And the Japanese, we were having a hell of a time with the Japanese. Everybody was there. And everything was moving and moving that way and moving that way and moving that way. I have not seen the operations order. I expect the operations order would fill 2 boxcars. But we were seriously expecting something like 20 million casualties by the time we took the Japanese islands. And at that time, population of the United States was 150 million, 160 million, something like that. It would have been. See, I never did get into combat.
Oh, okay.
Just everything was moving there. Everything was going, and then boom, it was ending. And of course, at that time, when you're 17 years old, you're immortal. I mean, you think, you line up 217-year-olds out there and tell them tomorrow morning all of the people standing in the damn ranks would be dead except 2, and you'd think, Jesus, I'm going to miss these guys. When you get to be 42, and you tell them that 4 people in those ranks are going to be dead, you go home and sit on your bunk and worry.
You know your mortality.
That's why soldiers and sailors and people in combat arms, it's for the young.
Yeah.
Because they just don't believe anything can happen to them, and that's so right now.
Well, and when the war was over, you went back to Alabama.
Well, I went back to Alabama, but what happened? Then the Korean War came along.
Yes, sir.
Well, see, when I got out, I thought, okay, now I'll just stay in. Automatically I went into reserves. Well, then when the Navy called me up and said, now we're going to begin to call folks back in, and I said, well, now I've graduated from school, and is it not possible that I could get a better job? And they said, well, I don't know whether you can get a better job or not. We don't know what the hell you can do. Well, then they were calling up National Guard divisions. And I had some friends in the 31st Infantry Division. And I went and talked to them and took the physical and went to Montgomery and was signed up and commissioned as a second lieutenant of artillery in 24 hours. I was the most unqualified second lieutenant of artillery you ever saw in your life. But I did know how to use a machine gun. And an artillery battery has got in it a self-defense unit that's got machine guns in it and rifles. And I could shoot. I could shoot a shotgun and shoot a rifle.
Well,
and then, of course, once I got in there and stayed in there and liked it, well, then I began to get promoted, and then I got to the point where you were making a little bit of money at it. And then one thing led to another. And I served, I think I ended up with something like 38 years service.
Wow.
They don't give you the same amount of time for reserve service as they do for active service, but it's a pretty decent. It's a hell of a. And see, you're eligible for all kinds of hospitalization and stuff as a veteran, a double veteran.
Yeah. Well, when people everyone calls you Colonel Tom Kelly. I just wanted to make sure.
I made Bud Colonel.
I wanted to make sure that everyone understood.
I
want to make sure everybody understood the history bebehind that title.
Because I forget the damn thing. I don't know. Yeah, it was common in the South to call everybody a colonel, whether they ever got to be.
You were an actual colonel. You were an actual colonel.
I really was a colonel. No shit.
I've heard some people ask, does he call himself Colonel Tom Kelly because he's the colonel of the 10th Legion? I said, that is not correct, sir.
That's right.
He's an actual colonel. So I just wanted to make
United States Army.
I just wanted to make sure that people knew that's the United States Army.
Right.
And this man was a part of 2 theaters of war. And going back to your upbringing, because I definitely want to talk about your first turkey and all those things. Why do you love Alabama so much? You've written about it. You talk about it. We're not in Alabama now, but I know that's where your heart is and where your soul is.
Well, I knew it. I knew the people, and then working as I did in the woods with that many people. See, bossing 625 or 30 people is a lot of folks, and you get a real feeling for people and what they can do, and it does a lot of good for a Southerner in getting rid of some of these prejudices against black and white. Mm-hmm. I had a lot of instances. We played it strictly on what you could do. And I had a lot of instances where I had black crew leaders. A normal logging crew for us was a 4-man crew.
Yes, sir.
Well, it was a 3 or 4-man crew. You had the boss, and then you had a saw hand with him, and then you had a truck driver. And the truck driver went and came and rode the truck, brought his own truck to the mill. He loaded his truck at night and brought it home with him. When he got up early in the morning, he went to the mill wherever he was delivering, and he was the first one in line. While he was there, the crew chief picked up the other guy in the crew, and they went out there and started running the skidder and pulling stuff into piles. When the truck driver got through, he came out there, loaded his truck, and went. And that went on all the time. And the whole thing put together, they were a very lively group. And I had, in a lot of instances, whites working for blacks.
Yeah.
And I've had guys tell me, Mr. Tom, I don't want so-and-so. I don't want him. He and I ain't going to get along together. And in every case, I went with him. If you were bossing the crew, you had the right to put anybody in your crew that you wanted to, so long as he could pass the physical and do the stuff. It made for an absolutely level society.
Well, in 1953, right, you took a position with the Scott Paper Company, and then you oversaw, you did that for 40 years.
Yeah.
You oversaw 600 employees or more at any given time. Is that
what that? And I really and truly miss them.
Yeah,
I miss them yet.
I could see it.
I miss them yet.
Yeah,
there's no question about it. I miss them.
And is that why you loved Alabama so much? Is the people?
The people. And I probably would have done the same thing someplace else, but I was there. I knew the country. I knew the people. I knew the land. I knew the timber. I liked to hunt and fish. And in Alabama, there's a hell of a lot of hunting and fishing goes on right now. So you get all the migratory stuff besides the native stuff.
Yeah. Well, it feels like for your generation, you had a very normal upbringing, and a very a lot of people in your generation went to war and came back and worked for the same company for a very long time. And my grandfather was very much the same.
Yeah.
So it seems like you had a very typical, life.
Yeah.
In that way.
Yeah.
But where I would say it's not typical is your ability to take these stories that you had not only in the woods, because you've written 25 books, right? Maybe 25 or 26 books. Not just about hunting, but to be able to articulate your experiences in a way that inspires people. It's inspired me to be a better turkey hunter, more mindful turkey hunter.
Yeah.
To see the bird in a different way. What do you think has allowed you to do that?
I have no idea. The luck of the draw. It's how come you got brown eyes instead of black eyes, or big ears instead of little ears. It's just, and then I am pretty much interested in everything, except going to Africa and shooting elephants. I ain't interested in that, but I'm pretty much interested in everything. And as a rule, even now, and I read a lot.
Yes, sir.
Jesus, I must read 3 books a week.
Well, as we sit here, there's books piled on the table in front of us.
Books.
Newspapers and books everywhere. Yeah. Magazines. Well, I mean, that's the appreciation that I have for you and your work. But it's more than that. It's like an understanding of, like I said earlier, an understanding of our relationship with the turkey. Mm-hmm. And so I guess to understand how you were able to do that, we should start at the very beginning. And you,
and then too, you learn something the day you die.
Yeah.
If you at yourself, I mean, if you fall into a coma, no. But if you at yourself, something will come up, or somebody will come in and say something. It'll be something brand new.
Always learning.
Yeah.
1938, you killed your first turkey. I heard a story about 1938. You killed your first turkey.
Yeah.
You tell me about that.
And went out in the woods and sat down and started calling. And finally, I saw them coming, 2 of them. I didn't pay any attention to whether they were hens or gobblers. And when they got in close range, I killed one of them. And when I went out there and picked it up, I thought, oops. Oops. I have never officially admitted that, and
the statute of limitations.
The statute of limitations has still got me covered.
I think you're covered. We're talking. We're talking in generations.
Yeah, but it was and that triggered it.
Yeah.
And after that, I kept up dove hunting, and of course, dove hunting marksmanship.
Yes, sir.
I mean, you get out there, and then fairly late in my career, I stumbled over snipe. And if you have been killing the limit of doves out of a box of shells regularly, and you take up snipe hunting, you are going to be disappointed because you ain't going to kill that many of them. They ain't the same thing altogether.
We used to trick, as a kid, we used to trick folks and tell them we were taking them snipe hunting.
Yeah, well, yeah, but it's not. As a matter of fact, I got a book over there called Reflections on Snipe that was done by, there are something like 15 or 16 separate species of snipe. Snipe is worldwide.
Yes, sir.
It's in every country, but it ain't at the South Pole. But it's from every country on down from Canada, and it's good. And a snipe's great. Snipe tree. He reminds you of a woodcock. A woodcock is fatter, and he flies. A woodcock's easy to kill. A snipe's tough, man. He's
going everywhere. Makes you a marksman, right?
Yeah, you damn right.
What's the first time you heard a turkey gobble?
First time I heard a turkey gobble, I didn't know what it was. I had an uncle who worked in the shipyard at Pascagoula, and he had a friend named Kennedy. And the Kennedys had 3 boys. They had a boy younger than me, and a boy older than me, and a boy who was my age, Pete. And Pete their daddy worked for my uncle, and their daddy lived just north of Pascagoula, Mississippi, and I lived in Mobile, and I had gone over there to visit my uncle, and Pete and I hit it off together, and he started taking me with him. And that's the first turkey I heard gobble. It was Pete, and I thought it was a dog barking. It's, and he said, no, that's a turkey. And that triggered it. And from then on out, it's been turkeys all the way.
What about the first time that you made a turkey gobble with your calling abilities?
The first time, well, what I fell into the trick of doing, I got one of these box yelpers.
Yeah.
And I'd hear a turkey gobble, and I'd try to get pretty close, and then the first time I heard one gobble, I knew what it was. I knew it was him. When you don't know nothing, and my uncle didn't know the first damn thing about turkey hunting. He'd kill some turkeys on deer drives. You sit out there with your shotgun on deer drives, and when the dogs are running the deer past the standers, I'd sit there on the first gun I had was a single barrel.
Yeah,
you sit there with a single barrel, and I'd have a buckshot in the single barrel, but I'd have a number 6 shot in my hand, and you could trigger the gun when you knew it coming. If it wasn't a deer, if you thought it was a turkey, you could trigger the gun and put the other thing in there and shoot him. A kid's
changed
gonna
today.
kill anything comes by. Pigeons,
Yeah.
meadowlarks, whatever it is.
What is it about that when you're a kid that you just feel like
just want something in your hand? You want to say, I done it.
You're right, and it's universal for all children.
That's right. That's right.
You've got grandchildren now.
Well, shit, you got those fangs. You're a hunter-gatherer.
Yeah, a gatherer at that age, as much as anything.
Yeah. You hunt them down and kill them. Our fangs ain't much, and our claws ain't much,
We have shotguns,
and our
though.
teeth ain't much.
We got shotguns, though.
But we got shotgun.
Well, I think, man, I got so many questions for you, but I think it makes sense to kind of try to get your perspective on where we are as a modern turkey hunter now and where you began. I mean, you have lived through the age of turkey hunting, and before we hit record, we were talking.
Yeah.
We were talking about that. I think it's just as a natural thing that a lot of people that hunt turkeys today feel, because they're so abundant, that it might have always been that way. It may have. The way it is now might be the way it has been.
There was a friend of mine named Jim Andrews. He's dead now, like most of my friends. But Jim Andrews was one of these guys that if you went someplace, Jim Andrews was going to find a damn turkey, and if there was any turkey going to be killed, Jim Andrews was going to kill it, and he could never explain why.
Yeah, you've written about him in the past. I've read many passages about where he was buried and what direction he might be traveling.
Yeah.
Tell me about him. Your relationship with him. You've talked about him being. I've read that he just was a turkey magnet.
He was. I said that he couldn't explain it either. He couldn't explain it either. His daddy was not a turkey hunter. None of his uncles was a turkey hunter. His brother Henry was a fighter pilot. and his brother Henry was a great shot, but he was a shitty turkey hunter. It's just, I think the principal characteristic is patience. It's a big bird. It's big enough to be, you create an importance in the bird yourself, and that's what pitches it. That's what pitches it.
Yeah. Well, and guys like Jim, I mean, you've written about this too, like the friendships that we make.
Oh, yeah.
The connections we make.
Well, then see, Jim and I worked together.
Yeah.
And in fact, as a matter of fact, Jim worked for me. Except when it came to turkey hunting, then I worked for Jim.
What is it about turkey hunting that makes that, like, if not makes friendships like that, enhances them and makes them that much?
It's people. Well, it may be like art appreciation. A guy falls in love with painting, and then I don't care who he's talking to, he wants to talk about painting and painters and how they did this, or sculpture and sculpted and how they did that. And there's all kinds of things. That horse over there.
Yeah.
That black horse. I did that horse.
Yeah.
I did this. There's this crap around here that I did. You just, I don't know. You ask me why in the hell would a guy waste his damn time making a fake unicorn when there ain't no such a thing as a real unicorn, and I can't answer the question. It just felt like time to make a goddamn unicorn, so I made one.
That's fantastic. But yeah, I mean, I think that you're right. I mean, as a hunter, as someone who appreciates this, you want to surround yourself with people that have equal passion.
That's right.
And for somebody like you, your passion is unequaled. It's hard to find people that come to it like you. So then you end up around exceptional folks like Jim Andrews.
Yeah.
Talk about. I mean, you've written about burying him, or being, where he was buried, and trying to figure out kind of, and going to church and trying to figure out.
Yeah.
And the pastor talking about which direction he might have traveled in the afterlife. And you had an experience with some turkeys that you called in. Mm-hmm. Do you remember that experience? Can you talk about that one?
Yeah. His mama. I never will forget when he introduced me to his mama. He lived in Camden, which is in North. It's at the junction with the Alabama and the Tombigbee Rivers up there, and he hunted up around there. And when Jim got out of school, he went into cow business and went broke. And then he had to go to work for market timber for people, and he was just scratching around making a living any damn way he could make a living. And but he never got mad at the world because he didn't have any money, and he had 5 kids, four girls and a boy, And I still correspond with some of the kids. We still write a little bit back and forth. But he was just one of those guys that everybody likes. Mm-hmm. You meet one every once in a while. There ain't many, but you meet one every one. Jim was just one of those guys.
Yes, sir.
And I guess turkeys just liked him, so they came to him when they wouldn't go to anybody else.
You tell a story about when you went turkey hunting after he died. And there was five gobblers that gobbled on the roost and gobbled and gobbled and gobbled. Yeah. And they flew down out of the tree, and there you were with your call.
Yeah.
And they would gobble at anything. They'd gobble at a Tweety bird. They would gobble at one another. They would gobble at anything, but they ignored you and anything. Like you did not exist.
And it was it was Jim Andrews, probably the best friend I ever had. He's probably the best friend I ever had.
And you felt that those turkeys gobbling and ignoring you were maybe a song for him.
That's imagination. That's imagination. You wish it was that way, but you don't know that.
You wish it was his eulogy that way. Those turkeys were giving you one last chance to see which direction he might have traveled.
Yeah.
O'Reilly Auto Parts are in the business of keeping your car on the road. O'Reilly Auto Parts offer friendly, helpful service and the parts knowledge you need for all your maintenance and repairs. If you're confused about what part you need, like what wipers are going to be the best, what replacement headlights are going to be the best, go into O'Reilly and talk to the people that work there because they're great and they're super friendly and they'll get you squared away where you walk out knowing you got the right thing. They've got thousands of parts and accessories in stock, either in-store or online, so you never have to worry if you're in a jam. Do you need your windshield wipers replaced? You need a brake light fixed? You need some quick service? They'll help you find the right part or point you to the nearest local repair shop for help. The professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts are your one-stop shop for all things auto do-it-yourself, and you can find what you need in-store or online. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts today or visit us at O'ReillyAuto.com/MeatEater. That's O'ReillyAuto.com/MeatEater. You ever get that feeling you're stuck inside staring at screens and a primal urge kicks in? You crave wide open spaces, fresh air, the chance to connect with the land. Well, maybe it's time to find your own piece of the wild, but searching for property can be a maze. That's where Land.com comes in. They got millions of listings across the country, from mountain ranches to hidden fishing holes. Their search tools are like a seasoned guide helping you narrow down what you want. Land.com isn't just about buying and selling. It's about finding a place to hunt, fish, explore, or simply sit by a campfire and listen to the crickets. So head over to Land.com today to turn one day into today, because trust me, there's nothing quite like the feeling of standing on your own piece of earth. There's nothing like snook hook sets at dawn or catching a tarpon in the moonlight. Find your next fishing trip made easy on fishingbooker.com and experience the magic of the Sunshine State or any other destination on your fishing bucket list. Book a blue water adventure in search of sailfish or go snapper fishing with the kids. With over 6,000 captains and trips to choose from, planning your next one just got a whole lot easier. Download the Fishing Booker app on the Google Play or App Store, or visit them online at fishingbooker.com to book your trip today.
Well, the 10th Legion is, I think, the thing that most people, it's the thing that I read it before every turkey season. I know a lot of the folks that I work with do the same thing. And it's inspired, since it was published in 1973, I mean, it's inspired many, many turkey hunters. And I remember reading, so the 10th Legion was published in 1973, and it has inspired me to be a more involved turkey hunter, and inspired many people to go and try it, I think.
We and of course the guy that my partner, we it's a new edition coming out.
Yeah,
it's a new edition coming out, and the new book is.
Well, the new book is, I have it here. It's called. You're still writing books at 93.
Yeah.
It's called Infinite Variety. Is that correct?
Infinite Variety.
And he says the title comes from Shakespeare's play,
Yeah,
Antony and Cleopatra.
Yeah, I am probably one of the last few Shakespeare readers. I read a lot of Shakespeare,
especially in the turkey hunting community.
Yeah.
Age cannot wither her, nor cut no stale. Her infinite variety. Yeah.
Every time you go out there, he's going to teach you something. Every time you go out there, he's going to outsmart you in some fresh way you never thought of. And it's never going to get old.
It's magical.
Magic. It's magic. Absolute magic.
When you write, I have some quotes here from the 10th Legion. Not that you need me to quote it, but when you've inspired a lot of people. People call you the poet laureate of turkey hunting. You like that title?
It sells books.
That it does.
It sells books.
To me, the 10th Legion is not a book, really. It's an explanation of turkey hunters. It's an
explanation of a thought process. Yeah. Absolutely, it is.
Yeah,
it is.
And it's called the 10th Legion because you felt like
Caesar's 10th.
Yeah, Caesar's 10th Legion, and the members of the turkey hunting army are.
That's right.
Are you have said like exhibit dogged determination, much like the army of the 10th Caesar's 10th Legion, and that's why that's titled so.
Yeah. And there are a hell of a lot of people with exactly those thought processes.
That's right.
Or there wouldn't be that many folks in the National Wild Turkey Federation.
Well, I remember when you said when you began hunting, there was only, you remember writing this book and thinking maybe 150 people in the world might care.
Yeah, because when I figured, I can't remember what I paid the guy to write it. It seemed Theo Gose and Sons in New York. And it seems to me I did 500 copies. And I think I paid him $1,450 or some such thing as that. And I figured there'd be at least some guys I knew that didn't know I could read and write. They'd buy one out of curiosity. And they would be, and if he quit right there, I would probably have gotten my money back. And if not, then I had a lifetime supply of Christmas presents.
Turned out to be a little bit more than that.
Good deal better than that. Good deal.
Well, I think many people regard it as not only just it's about people, right?
It's about people.
People. It's not about.
I don't write about turkeys. I write about people and what they do in one specific line.
Yeah. So it's not tips and tactics. If anybody hasn't read it, shame on you. But if you haven't, you're not going to get the tips and tactics. There's some in there.
Oh, yeah,
plenty in there.
And a lot of people going to read it and say, "Well, what the fuck this guy's talking about?"
Well, there was a thing you said that many people who hunt turkeys do so with an attention to detail, a regard for strategy, tactics, and operations, and disregard for personal comfort and convenient that ranks second only to war.
Yeah, to sit out there and freeze your butt off in the cold rain, hoping a turkey might come. You got to be a little bit twisted.
I'm pretty twisted.
Yeah, okay. Welcome to the lodge.
You still believe at the age of 93 you have that same passion? I mean, it's in you. It's never going to leave.
It ain't a bit of change.
Never going to leave.
I've already accepted an invitation or two to go hunt next year. I mean, you can sit in that damn thing right there.
Oh yeah.
You can fold that up and put it in the back of a pickup truck,
dude.
And somebody can take me out in the woods to where they've heard one gobble and dump me off and say, "I'll come back and get you at 9:30," and I can hunt. I can hunt up and down the road.
Oh, it's like to point to a little walker over there. You can sit right in that thing.
I can get out. I can walk. I walk probably now a mile a day.
Really?
I walk the halls here, down and back and down and back and down and back. I got an exercise lady that comes by, and she comes 3 days a week, and does things like breathing exercises and balance exercises and all this kind of stuff. She's real good.
I got to get me one of those.
She's an English woman. She is. As a matter of fact, she has just been home to England. Just been home to England, got children, and does this as a living.
So you're gonna get around.
Yeah, so I get around great. I mean, and you know, to get out there to be able to. Now I don't drive. I sold my car.
Yeah.
But it was better. I didn't really want to leave home, but my wife did not realize she was dying and really expected to be at home. Yeah. And then with her gone, and my daughter worried about how I was doing and what I was doing and when I was doing it, it was just more comfortable for her to move up here.
Yeah.
Where she can drive here in 30 minutes and find out what I'm doing and make sure I'm taking my
keep
medicine
track
and doing all
keep you from mischief.
Yeah. Right.
Well, you got a little furniture. You're building furniture up here in this apartment.
No, most of this I built before I got here. I can do some stuff here, and I've done a little. Not much since I've been here, but I can. And as soon as I get through with my saws and hammers and things over there that I got, I can go back. I got a chair I need caning. I'll cane that chair first, and then I'll go back to doing it. But between writing and reading and caning chairs, and I stay pretty busy.
You are busy.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna just want to in my head as I'm turkey hunting, you are the narrator. Like when I'm turkey hunting, I've read your book so many times that some of the things that you've written become, and the turkey's coming in, I'm thinking about the words of that book, and I think that's probably true for a lot of people. So
I have people say that to me all the time. Well, you know, you never know what another guy's thinking, but I mean, enough people have said the same thing. Enough people at the convention when I'm sitting there. A lot of folks will buy books, and we sell books. We have a booth every year. Yeah. David Clark and I together have a booth. We sell books, and I sign books and talk to kids. And a lot of people want me to. They take a picture of a kid sitting on my knee, or they take a picture of me holding a kid. I think, I don't know, I think maybe they think if they do it and if they talk about it and if they meet me, I think it forms a society. And I think that's why they do it.
Yeah.
Because God knows I ain't pretty. You know?
Well, you've been working with that lady that comes and gets you the fitness. You're pretty spry.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, I think it's true.
I never have known why a woman marries who she marries anyway. You know.
I don't want my wife to figure that out either. Yeah. I do think that one of the things that is important to me is that when you have an idea or like an appreciation for something and someone else is able to articulate or explain your feeling for that thing in a way that you never could, which is what you were able to do for so many people for turkey hunting, I feel like it develops a relationship.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, because a lot of folks, when I sign stuff for them, will want me to put something on there about this and that and this and that and this and that and this and that. And you can't really. I mean, if a guy comes in and it's fine, it's right, Tom Kelly, or best wishes, or good luck next year. But if he wants an intellectual dissertation of why he and I think alike, I can't write that. I just can't do it.
Yeah, because I think people end up
and a lot of folks will want that. I mean, they'll do this and they'll do that, and they'll want something for their son, and then they'll want something for the other son, and they want me to say one thing for one son, and some of them pull out a piece of paper and start reading what they want me to write.
I love it. Did you ever foresee that you would be signing books and that people would think of you in the way that some do?
No, I felt like, well, you know, it's like I said, I went into it with no sense of anything. I like it, and I like to tell people what I like to do. when you go to a football game, you got a special team that you like to win because you remember Bart Starr, you remember the Green Bay Packers back when they used to be the Green Bay Packers.
So, Tom, that you feel, what do you think? You say your wife really is one of the main reasons why you started writing.
Oh yeah.
What did she think about your success and fame?
My wife worked for the FBI, and well, when I got out of school, my wife was born in a sawmill town. Her daddy worked for the sawmill, and her daddy, his name was Leon Mosley, and he was one of those kind of guys that everybody liked him. There was no way not to like Leon Mosley. I don't give a damn who you were. There was no way not to like Leon Mosley. For instance, Helen was up there teaching school, and at the high school in Century, which is just across the line. It's in the Florida Panhandle, and it's just across the line from Alabama. She was up there teaching school, and I went to work up there for the sawmill, and we met, and we started dating, and then she knew I was connected. My connection with the service, and when the Korean War started, that I was going to have to go back. But she left Century and went to work for the FBI in Mobile as a secretary at the FBI, and we got along great. We got along great. I cannot remember ever having a crossword with her from the time I met her until the day she died. Not one time.
Wow.
And that's unusual. That's unusual. And I was not, and this was in the days when, without the cell phones, when you'd leave working scattered over the area that I was scattered over. When as I got up, we moved back to a town that was just about a mile and a half from the town she was brought up in. So she was there. She had her mother there, and her sister was still there. But it was you went out in the woods in the morning, and she might, and as late as far as I had to go, and as much as I had to do, it might be 7:30 or 8 o'clock or 8:30 before I got back. Never anything, never. It was just as smooth as silk all the time.
Plane.
Just as smooth.
Did she ever hunt with you?
Once or twice, and she went and she said, "This is fine, but from now on out, if anybody asks me would I like to go turkey hunting, I would tell them thank you, but I've already been."
My wife and I have similar.
That's amazing.
Separation of church and state.
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't out chasing girls or getting drunk or losing money or wrecking cars, and as long as I did that and brought home enough of a paycheck to feed her and the kid, that was it.
I want to just read some of the quotes from 10th Legion and just talk through some of them with you, because I think I've been wanting to do that for a long time since I first read your book. I think to the title, there's a quote in there that says, "While fall hunting is all about beauty, spring hunting is war."
Mm-hmm. Spring hunting, you're trying to kill him. Fall hunting is the woods in the fall. That's when the woods are pretty.
Yeah.
I mean, the leaves are colored. The bird migration is on. Everything out there is bright and colorful. It ain't hot anymore. Mm-hmm. It's a lovely place to be if you don't do anything but go out there and wander around. I used to, even after I was working, even after I was managing that tract of timber for the sawmill, I carried lunch with me, and there would be it would be a lot of places that I would deliberately not eat lunch until I got close enough to go eat lunch there, because there was just something around in the world that soothed you. It made you feel at home. It made you feel comfortable. You become at one with the woods, and it would have been, to me, it would have been pretty grim to go to a restaurant every day to eat lunch, or go to the lunchroom every day to eat lunch. You did that when you were there, but when you were on your own, and there were 3-4 places. There was a place on the other side of the Atmore Prison Farm. It was rolling terrain, great big damn timber, and a lot of poles, a lot of piling, a lot of saw logs, a lot of everything, and I'd a lot of times make arrangements to be close enough to it where I could go there and eat. There was a couple of places in Choctaw County the same way. Up on some high, Choctaw County changes from the flatlands to the combination of upland and bottomland with a hell of a lot more hardwood. And there were places up there that were just comforting to be in. And then the fact that in those kind of places that were comforting to be in with all that variety of timber, there were more turkeys.
Did you feel along your life that there was a medicinal quality to turkey hunting?
Oh, yeah. I mean, well, a lot of folks, it's just, did I kill 16 or did I kill 6? With me, it's a hell of a lot more than that. It's always been a hell of a lot more than that. Always been a hell of a lot more.
And I often have this, especially in the
ice.
The ice machine.
Yeah. Let you know it's working.
Yeah, every time you got ice, you know it. I think in the springtime, when I go out, it's like you're inside all winter, or you're mostly inside if you ski or you ice fish or whatever, you can get out. Spring is just like, it's new. It's new, and then any buildup of anxiety or stress you might have had during the winter months when you couldn't get out as much can be erased during that time.
Yes, sir.
You experienced that through your life, I imagine. Yeah. All right, let's see what else we got here. The bird possesses a remarkable ability to turn arrogance into hopelessness, which we've kind of covered. But
you think I got his ass now, and you get out there and lap.
Every time we talked about my friend Steven Ranella talks about how it is that we return to that arrogance having been beaten so many times. Well,
yeah, but of course there'll be areas where there's some books that show the normal turkey ranges, and it might cover a section and a half, 1,000 acres, 1,500 acres, and they will range across that 1,500 acres fairly regularly. They'll handle one part of it in the spring, and when the hens are nesting, and they'll do another part of it when the acorns get ripe. They would not be ripe at one time of the year or another, and they cover that area pretty comfortably. And I think it's you get it, to me, working in the woods and being in the woods, especially when I was balking timber for the sawmill. The lower coastal plain is dull. Because you got pine and nothing but pine, and you got mucky bottomed hardwood bottoms and nothing but that. You get a little bit north of there, and you begin to get this absolute tremendous variety of species, tremendous variety of timber types, tremendous variety of different areas that a turkey or any other animal will work in, and it's just it's just more fun up there than it is down in the flatwoods.
Yeah, it is. It is. I think in my life, when I think about turkey hunting, and I try to think of, you say that your friend Jim Andrews could just think of how a turkey thinks. I feel like that's the skill I'm developing. I feel like that's...
You probably are. You probably are.
Well, it's like the one I want to develop at least. You know?
You probably are.
If I can think where he wants to be, or think where he's going. Or,
ain't no sense in going there because I never see anything over there. But if I go over here, I see them all the time. I'm going there every damn time.
And I've recently moved to the west, where you have these big expanses of public land. Where you, this year I did it a couple times, where you roll into a place you don't know anything about the landscape, anything about the birds, and find a bird and kill it.
The thing is now, it's so easy to find out.
Yeah,
you got the Resource Planning Act, which cruise every acre in the United States is recruised every 10 years. And you got maps. You got Google. You can call up a map. You can call up a map on Google. I can call up a map. You can call up a map on Google, and you can see, and they update the damn thing all along. And if your car is parked in your front yard, they can see it sees the car.
Yeah. It does see.
You can goddamn near read the license tag.
Yeah, we have a mapping system now on your phone.
Yeah,
where you can see. It's called Onyx. You can see pretty much. You can look at a ridge. You can see the topographical features.
Absolutely.
You go, oh, turkey would definitely go there. And then you go and you find it.
Yeah.
And maybe you're right, maybe you're wrong, but you do have a leg up.
Yeah.
That's for sure. This is probably, I don't know, of all the quotes I like, this is maybe my favorite. You have to pay for every bird you kill, and the coin you use to pay for them is time.
Time. Right.
Time.
Right. You cannot hurry. You can't say, I got 30 minutes, I'm going to run out to section 14 and kill a turkey and run right back. You can't say to your wife, okay, Thanksgiving's coming and the in-laws are coming down here. I'll kill a turkey this afternoon and drop it off in the yard so you can be cooking it tomorrow when they get here.
No schedules.
You can't do it. You can't.
No schedules. Another one you said is you don't hunt turkeys because you want to.
Yeah,
you hunt turkeys
because
you have to.
You ain't got no choice.
Imagine a man that's been doing it for 80 years.
Yeah, right.
He's pretty stuck.
You ain't got no choice.
Here's another one. This is a long one, but when you talk about what happens when you're a turkey hunter and how you explain it to other people, you say, he also knows that when he comes back at home empty-handed, as he will do regularly, he will have no satisfactory explanation. He is well aware, for he has met dozens of them, of the numbers of people that will approach him on street corners and in bars and at parties, who will open each conversation with, well, did you get him? When he answers no, they will be off and running. They will tell him in delighted tones and in the clearest detail the story of a friend of theirs who has a feeble-minded nephew.
Right.
Of how this nephew is occasionally allowed home on leave from the state funny farm.
Yeah.
How that the last time this poor defective creature was home, week before last, he went out in the woods just behind the house, sat on a log, and with a turkey yelper that was given away as a souvenir by a typewriter company in 1937, he yelped twice and killed a turkey that weighed 23 pounds.
That's right.
Picked.
That's right.
The explanation of it.
It's all in it.
And that story right
and
there.
It's going to happen.
Yeah. And it explains why it's so magical, because you can never, ever, you never master it. You can never get good at it.
You will never get good at it. You can get good at it, but you will never master it.
That's right.
You will never master it.
And every time you feel you have the mastery,
that's right.
That crazy dinosaur will.
You'll think, how in the hell could I have been so goddamn dumb? But you are. You really and truly are.
Another one. This is the one that I'll close with, because I think this is the one that most people. It's at the end of the 10th Legion, and I think it really encapsulates everything perfectly. The first turkey that ever came to me on the ground did it a long time ago. I sat there with my hands shaking, my breath short, my heart hammering so hard I could not understand why he could not hear it. The last turkey that came to me last spring had exactly the same effect.
Yeah.
And the day that this does not happen to me is the day that I quit.
I don't think I'll quit. I think that will be the day that they close the lid of the coffin. that final thump, the one you won't hear.
Yeah, I mean, you've done this for so long. You've put so much into it. You know, it defines a lot of your professional and personal life.
Well, and then of course, God knows, I've gotten some money back.
Yeah,
that's the marvelous thing. And I didn't get into it. I didn't sit down and say, I believe I'll start writing about turkeys and make a pile of money.
Colonel Kelly, is there something you would say to turkey hunters of the future, kind of about your experience as a turkey hunter and what you've been able to do?
We need to work. Well, I don't know how you could do it, but we need to, because we are really and truly losing turkey hunters. We're losing hunters every year. Every state, I think, shows a diminution in the number of licenses, and there's a pile of things. Cruelty to animals. Why do you shoot those poor little innocent things? Why this? Why that? Why that? Why do you take all that trouble? Why don't you spend some time at home with your kids instead of running up and down the goddamn road? That we've got to get, I think, we can do it in time, but we got to get the world to understand that there are different kind of hobbies, and your hobby is simply one of thousands and thousands and thousands of hobbies. And then the fact that you can eat what you is an added thing.
It is.
But that we gotta, if we don't do that, well, it ain't gonna be. I don't know how long it's going to be, but we could come to the point where, well, like for instance, now I think in Australia, you can't own a weapon of any kind.
Yeah, there's places in this country where they're restricted heavily.
They've taken all deadly weapons away from anybody except pocket knives and stuff like that. But they're getting it where, and the more variety. The strata needs to be not like this. It needs to be that thick, where you can play in any part of it you want to play, and stay out of jail.
You're right about that. I think the last question I have for you is, if you could speak to, say, the last turkey you'll ever kill, and you could have a conversation with that turkey, what would you say?
I wish there was one more behind you. I wish you wasn't the last one.
That's perfect.
I don't think anybody in the world has ever said, I've had all I need of everything and I've enjoyed everything. Bye. I ain't that person.
Well, like I said, I have great respect for what you do, and sitting down and talking turkeys for over an hour with me is something I've never thought I'd get to do, so I really appreciate it.
I'm delighted you came.
That's it. That's all. Another episode of the Hunting Collective in the books. I want to thank not only the Latvian Eagle, Janice Pudelis, who was awesome as always. It was great to talk to, but everyone involved in helping connect me with Colonel Tom Kelly, and then also Colonel Kelly himself, for allowing me to come into his home and chat with him. It was special for me. Hopefully you enjoyed it. I'll probably go back and listen to this many times throughout my life. I might listen to it before every turkey season to get myself fired up for the next thing when I read the 10th Legion. So go to Tom's website, which we mentioned there at the end, and get yourself a copy of the 10th Legion. I have no stake in that game other than I love good writing, I love good content, and love good creativity. And the 10th Legion checks all those boxes and then some. What else? Oh, man, I got to tell you, a lot of people have purchased this Aldo freaking Leopold tee here. So we thank everybody that's gone to themeateater.com. You've gone to the store and you've bought this T-shirt that we came out with here at the Hunting Collective. Picture of Aldo smoking a pipe with the words inscribed beneath him that I just mentioned. Ryan Callahan made a good point to me earlier, and he's made it a couple times. There's a lot of people that know that name that maybe haven't read his works. And And I think that happens in all pursuits, and that's something that we generally all can understand, that you might not have read every single one of his books or really even understand the man without understanding what he meant to conservation. But DeKalb does make a good point, man. While we're adding to the reading list, the 10th Legion and many of Tom's books, get out there and take in as much Aldo as you can. His writings, his works are all out there to be found. Everyone understands the Sand County Almanac just like they might understand the 10th Legion, but there's just a lot of works out there. But before you do that, go buy the shirt, man. Go buy that Aldo freaking Leopold shirt and enjoy it. And it's really meant to be a way for you to kick that conversation off when somebody says, who the hell's that guy? He looks cool. You can tell them the story of one of the fathers of conservation in this great nation. So go to themeateater.com, go to the store, and check it out there. Also, what you need to continue doing is going to the THC at themeateater.com and sending in your audio clips. Sub 2-minute clips recorded on your phone. Just talk right into the notes on your iPhone or whatever you have on any other device. Talk into the notes, hit record what you want to say, and then email it right from there. It's super simple and easy. We're gonna, as you'll hear in a minute, we play a couple of these at the end of every show, and I think it's just really cool to do. And I love to hear from you, and I want everyone else to hear what you thought of these topics, these shows, and how we're doing. Good, bad, ugly. There's certainly a lot of good comments, bad comments, and ugly comments that I've seen about this podcast and about me, but I want to read them all and understand them all so we can get better at this here podcast program. So, but until next time, I'm Ben O'Brien. You're going to hear from two awesome listeners coming up next, and then a little old number 7 on the way out, as always. Thanks for another great episode. We'll see you next week on Hunting Collective.
Ben, I want to try to drop a hot tip for your THC followers. If you're like me and live on the East Coast, flatland, I'm actually in Florida, it's hard to find elevation to hike and prep for our Western hunts. But what I've been doing with my group is meeting at the side of a overpass and actually perpendicularly going up and down with a heavy pack load, hashtag Stone Glacier, and it's worked really well to give us that true incline and elevation feel. Thanks for your time. Keep up the good work. THC.
Hello, Ben. My name's Art, and I just wanted to say that I really appreciate your podcast. I got turned on to you recently through listening to Renella's Meat Eater podcast, and I love all the characters. I watched the show on Netflix and got turned on to your podcast as a suggestion through Renella. But anyway, great topics. Love the interviews, and just keep it up. I'm from the East Coast as well. I've hunted Maryland and Pennsylvania. I've hunted Sitka deer. Not many people that I know say they've done that, and hearing your stories in regards to that kind of ring home to me. But anyway, hey, living the dream out there in Montana. One day maybe I'll make it out there myself. Keep it up, Ben. Thanks. Bye.
Jack Daniel's old number 7. Tennessee whiskey got me drinking in heaven, and angels start to look good to me. They're gonna have to deport me to the fiery deeps. Oh, to the fiery deeps. Drinking in the fiery deeps. Oh, to the fiery deeps. Drinking in heaven.
You ever get that feeling the walls closing in, the concrete jungle suffocating you? You crave some wide open spaces, the chance to connect with nature, maybe in a spot all your own. Well, head over to land.com. They've got ranches, forests, mountains, streams, you name it. Search by acreage. You can search by location. You can search by the kind of hunting and fishing you're dreaming of. Land.com. It is where the adventure begins. Hey everybody, listen up. I got mega huge news. Meat Eater Live is heading back out on the road. That's right. Join me and the crew. Clay Newcomb, Cal, Yanni, Spencer's going to be there. Phil the engineer's going to be there. Meat Eater Live, headed back out. Now, when you get every ticket, okay, every ticket you buy, you get a signed copy of our new Meat Eater Outdoor Cookbook. This tour is celebrating the release of the book. Buy a ticket, get a signed copy, Meat Eater Outdoor Cookbook, wild game recipes for the grill, smoker, camp stove, and campfire, which I'll point out is a $38 value. Here's where we're going to go. April 23rd, the Mesa Art Center in Mesa, Arizona. April 24, the Balboa Theater in San Diego. April 25, the Grove in Anaheim, California. April 27, the Crest Theater in Sacramento. April 29, the Union in Salt Lake City. April 30, the Egyptian in Boise. May 1, the Wilma Theater in Missoula. May 2, the Bing Crosby Theater in Spokane, Washington. May 4, Revolution Hall in Portland, Oregon. And May 5, the last day of the tour, Pantages Theater in Tacoma, Washington. For tickets and more information, visit the events page at themeateater.com. Hope to see you at the show.